Episode 94, mate. We are back.
New lights.
New lights.
Only appropriate that we've got a guest on that's used to performing under them. So,
welcome back, Fraser Wilkinson.
Yes.
How you doing, pal?
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bit different in here since last
It's
time
nice,
you were in.
Nice.
you know, a bit of paint.
Yeah. that's all it is. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. We've actually been speaking about you quite a lot since we had you on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that me and you took away from when Fraser left, and we literally said it when Fraser left last time, was I don't think we've met somebody more determined at your age in our life. Like, never met somebody so kind of focused and switched on. It was really refreshing to see. Like, it's good to see. Like, me at 21, I was getting fucking pissed every weekend, going out and not doing much with my life. Like, you're the complete opposite. You know, you're focused, you're channeled. Which we've mentioned it briefly before we came on, Ryan. You've had a roller coaster over 12 months. Let's take it back to just after the podcast the last time. So we're on episode 94. That was episode 66.
3 weeks out from the biggest fight of your life.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest night of your life, right?
Yeah,
at this
100%.
point. We congratulated you over social media, but now that we get the chance to do it in person, congratulations on becoming the first ever pro champion from this entire area.
Yeah.
Mega achievement.
Huge.
So we'll start at Elgin Town Hall. So you were a few weeks out last time you were on, going into that. And we usually go an hour, but I feel like we've got so much to talk about today. Let's just see how long this takes. Let's go and start off with Fight Week in Elgin, because obviously Fight Week's a little bit different because you didn't have to travel and stuff like that. And I imagine that made the process a lot smoother and easier for the days leading up to the fight.
Yep. So I think it was, we got a call. I was in the club on Wednesday night. We were doing a bit of media stuff with Northern Scott. Or the president, no, it was Northern Scott. Craig was in a bit. We were just doing a bit of interviewing and whatever, me and Andrew. And then Andrew gets a call. Or no, the Monday night, this was the Monday night. Andrew gets a call saying that Robbie's pulled out. And then that same time period in that hour, I get a phone call from Sam, my manager, and he's like, Davey might pull the show. I was like, Davey is not pulling the show. I was like, I've sold my ass off for this fight. I was like, I've sold every ticket possible to make sure like it was a night to remember for everyone. And after a bit of begging, Davey decided to do me a favour and he kept the show on, which I'm grateful for. And then, yeah, the rest was history. It was a bit weird, a bit surreal, because obviously boys pulled out as well, so it meant the undercard was weak. We had an exhibition to start with, 2 Inverness lads, and then Darren, some Irish lad, he was like 23 and 4. He fought on the card, and then it was me, and I was pretty surreal coming out to the Elgin Town Hall. Like, yeah, definitely something different. I'd obviously watched Andrew have his first pro fight, his Elgin debut there, and that was, I was still in the amateurs, and I was like, I want to experience that. And to get my moment, especially when the Scottish title, that was different.
What was the feeling in that hour when kind of it looked in jeopardy, like both fights were going to be canned?
Devastated.
Yeah,
I was devastated. I was begging David on the phone. I was like, I've put the work in for this. I've sold all the tickets. I've been as professional as possible. I was like, I've got 3 days. Just give me 3 days to say you're not going to fucking pull. And sorry, swear there, but yeah.
You can say whatever you want in here, mate.
Yeah, it meant a lot. Do you know what I mean? So thankfully, put it on, and we got the show on the road, and yeah.
We were saying to Ratch when we had him in here last week that Smarty's had some absolute rotten luck with fights being
100%.
pulled and stuff like that. And all the best to him, because on the day of this releasing, he'll be fighting for the Scottish title on that Ricky Burns undercard that we brought up.
I didn't realise he's fighting Willie Limond. Like that's probably 2 of the biggest names to come out of Scottish boxing in the last 15 years.
Yeah, not far off it, 100%. Craig McEwen maybe as well, but in terms of them two, I've heard them about them at Scottish training, and obviously they're both national coaches.
Yeah,
and they've been bickering back and forth probably the past year and a half. Like, Willie's like, you're gonna give me that fight, you're gonna give me that fight. So fair play to them. They're both getting their swan song. Do you know what I mean? Last little goodbye to the game.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
Good to see. Yeah.
Fight day. What's that like? You wake up in your own bed. It must have been a bit weird, right?
my mum's mate gave me the keys to our Airbnb for a couple of nights.
All right, okay.
I didn't want to really be around anyone. I kind of wanted to just keep it as normal as it usually is when I'm going away to fight. So it was just in Elgin. I was literally just not far from the Elgin Town Hall. Woke up. It was, I don't know, it was a bit weird because everything felt like it went so quick.
Yep.
It was like I woke up and then by like 6 o'clock I'm going down to get my medical, make sure I'm ready to fight. And
do you
it was a
prefer
bit
that,
weird.
Fraser, do you prefer the day to go quick, or do you prefer like a bit of time to kind of gather yourself and get...
I don't know. I think maybe because I was at home, that's why it went so quick.
Yeah.
Because it's maybe a feeling I never thought would come.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really get time to process what was happening.
You said about the lack of kind of fights that ended up being on the show through pillage and stuff like that. Did that make it easier or worse? Because you were saying last time that you're a guy that hates waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel restless having to wait.
Yeah.
Was it good that it just kind of came around quicker than what it probably would have had the card still been as stacked as it was to begin with?
Maybe not because of the occasion and what was going to come from it. Maybe I needed a bit more time to just sink my heels into the moment and really take in what was about to do. Because for 10 rounds, I think I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? But that's just a bit of lack of experience. Like jumping into 10-round title fights after your 6th fight, it's a big ask for anyone,
100%,
especially for me at 22 who's just new to the game. So
yeah, totally, man. So the walkout, what was that like? Can you even describe that level of support and euphoria that you feel when you hit that walk? Right,
kind of that focused that you're not. I know you're going to notice what's about. Are you trying to concentrate, or you try to sink that atmosphere in? What's your thought process when you're walking out?
They say you're meant to be like alpha mindset, like completely block everything out, just focusing on what the task in hand is. Obviously, when you're walking out and there's 200 people banging on tables, I think and especially Elgin Town Halls like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like the ballroom where it's a big atmosphere, big ceiling. It's like everything is on top of you. So no, it was surreal, and definitely at times when the crowd got going, it definitely gave me a boost. Definitely gave me a second win because I got a second win in that fight. I was gone after 4 rounds, to be fair, and then I got a second win. But yeah,
it was like the kind of energy jump. Was that like an adrenaline thing? Do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. That.
You came flying out.
I came flying out the gates and probably in the first 4 rounds, and my nose went after the 4th round, so I couldn't breathe at my nostrils, and like they obviously say mouth breathing is negative and whatever, but like when you're used to obviously breathing through your nose to then not being able to breathe through your nose, there's a bit of panic, especially when I knew I had like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to go. Yeah, I'm having to breathe heavily out my mouth because I can't breathe through my nose. It's like it's another experience obviously I've had to deal with and take in, and now I know I've been through that, I know I can do it. So
that's as you say, you came flying out. Did you? You said you felt it dropped in the 4th. Did you kind of gas yourself the first 4?
Yeah, maybe the moment was getting to me, and maybe I just in boxing, you obviously the more experience you have, the easier it gets.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So that inexperience is maybe just at that point I probably wasn't ready for that fight, and maybe we should have had a bit more before it. But as I've said to other people, I'm a young boy from the north of Scotland who's trying to make it big, and I'm not going to get there giving the same fight to every like all these people who come support me. If I keep fighting journeymen every 8 weeks or something, they're going to stop coming. They need to see me try jump a little bit and see how far I can go. So that's solely why I took that fight, because for respect for my people. But now looking in hindsight, maybe I needed to be a bit more self-focused on me and what's important for my game and how I'm going to develop into being a good professional boxer rather than worrying about everyone else.
Absolutely.
Which I've felt guilty to. So.
I was just about to ask, do you feel that pressure sometimes because you have such a big fan base, and well, maybe not from necessarily them, but I'm sure like internally sometimes like, oh, I've got to put in a good performance for all the people that have come and paid.
We've
and
asked
stuff like
Aidan that question. He kind of answered it the same.
So you feel responsible just so people get their money's worth, obviously, but over these past 6 months, it's just a big F you. Like, if it doesn't make me a better person and it doesn't give me strength into what I'm doing, I don't care about it.
I mean, it's you that's going in there and putting your health on the line,
Yeah,
right, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's talk about your opponent. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot about him over the course of the two fights, but specifically the Elgin one. That dude is tough, man.
Oh,
That dude is
it
incredibly
takes it back.
tough.
You can take it
Yeah.
back.
Like,
Yep.
his poker face is unreal. I was watching the highlights earlier, and there's a point where you can clearly tell you have wrecked his body, and he plays it off so well, and he kind of gives it away a little bit in the end by just doing the old one of them. But there's even on the ropes, you can tell that he's wincing in that, and he just fights through it and keeps coming forward. You win the fight. When you're standing there, are you confident that you've won?
I knew I'd won it.
Yeah.
The scorecards was the red 99, 91, which, to be fair, isn't probably fair. Personally, I thought I won the fight by 3 rounds.
Okay.
So there's that. But Corey's tough as old boots, like, as tough as they come.
That's a fair assessment of yourself, because a lot of people would be like, nah, smoked him. Scorecards say all, but for you to say, I only actually won by 3 there, 3 or 4.
Yeah, definitely. It was just my activity. Getting that second win, maybe in the 7th rounder or something like that, whatever it was, and then just pulling them last 3 rounds of I just didn't stop punching.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That was, but that was then because the home support and the energy they gave me getting behind me, all the banging on the tables, and that definitely gave me a second win into being able to do that.
Was there any point in the fight where you thought you could have finished him?
Nah.
No.
He's tough, mate. He's
Yeah.
tough. He's very tough. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's obviously had a couple of stoppage losses, whatever, but he is tough.
Yep.
I mean, he's been with some big boys, and give his dues. He's
durable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah, he's game for it, isn't he? So when that announcement's being read, can you even think about what? Because it seems like when it gets announced that you're the winner, that you just lose control, and rightfully so, right? Because you're like, this is what you've worked for, your hometown, everyone that's there to see you in that. Can you even put into words what that feeling is like, or do you just kind of, is that like an outer body experience?
That was definitely like an outer body experience. It was like, that's like I said, I just couldn't take it in.
Yeah.
It was just like, thank God I'd done it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
man.
mean? It was like just that was it. That was what was running through my head.
Can you remember the rest of the night after it?
Yeah, I went to bed sore as anything. I remember I couldn't sleep for hours. Obviously, you got the dopamine rush of adrenaline, but I remember trying to climb into bed, and my body was in bits, just in bits. I was like struggling to sleep. It was all sore. So.
Do you after a fight kind of ride the wave, or do you have an adrenaline dump where you go back and you're like, right, fuck, that was good, but I need to get back to work, or it's like, right, let's give you a kick up the arse to go more, you know? You've also talked about a massive feeling of winning that fight, and you kind of lose control and things like that. People like that, after that, struggle to get feelings like that. You know, how do you motivate yourself for the next fight?
For the rematch, it was hard.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%. Especially with the postponement and then getting rechanged on our card, and like I trained like 3 months for that fight, and it probably wasn't the best idea to just be so full in with it all. But being so young and naive, you see all these champions are like, oh, they're always training. It's not true.
Yeah,
I mean, they're smart. There's a way about doing things, and there's a way to not. And maybe I didn't sell. Like, I'll never blame anyone for my preparation and my losses, because it's on me at the end of the day. And maybe I just didn't take care of myself. And
with like
what
rest and
happened.
recovery and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
100%.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just trying to think that every day has to be a challenge, but it doesn't. Like, I finished a hard session today with David. We were in the gym for 2.5 hours, and he was like, do not do anything tomorrow. It's like, not even a run, nothing. He's like, I just want you to rest.
Because you mentioned that last time, you're a guy that is eager. Like, it's hard to kind of keep you away.
Yeah.
And I suppose you need someone to rein that in a little bit, right? For your own kind of sake. In terms of like the rematch was scheduled for March originally, and that was meant to be, was it Glasgow originally?
Yeah, it
and
was going to be the Crown Plaza.
Yeah, and
March
then
4th.
rescheduled, like you said, to May, which was in Dundee.
Yep.
Which was obviously more on his home turf-ish, because he's Arbroath, is it? He's from. So let's talk about the training, the build-up, and all that. Ratch said last week, and he said that you'd say this yourself, that your head wasn't in the right place.
No.
With what you feel comfortable saying,
Yeah.
what are some of those things that he was?
It was just like
referring
a lot
there?
of like family things going on in the background, and like I lost my granny just before the second one.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
That's all right, but just things like that, and me being so young, I thought the world would repay me for being tough and solid and being like, look, I can do this. The world's going to repay me at the end. And all it just taught me was like, if your head's not in it, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, the 2 weeks before, Lucas fought down in Edinburgh, and so Ratch was already in Edinburgh, so I drove him down. I got some sparring in with Stephen Nunes, and then we drove Lucas to the Heart Stadium, had his fight, and then driving back up the road, we get to Perth, and I'm like, right, son, I've got a pop tyre. It's on a Sunday night, 8 o'clock, right? We sat in the Perth petrol station, car park, till about 11:30. Had to pay some dude stupid amounts of money to come put a tyre on my car. Right, I got as far as Rothus, and I got hit a pothole, and that same tyre popped.
Oh,
Can you imagine? I didn't get home till 2:30 in the morning. But like stuff like that,
Yeah.
like 2 weeks out from a fight, it's not a stress I need.
No.
100%.
And but me always try to impress the other people that are higher than me. I stuck to my guns. I was like, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to beat them. And yeah, it happened like that.
Was there anything like, because obviously it was a rematch, right? And was there any kind of part of you, because you're someone that likes looking forward in the next big thing, was there anything that was like, I've beaten him, so it's kind of almost harder to get up for a fight? Or
So I did think about that in the process, but for me it was more like, okay, the scorecards were 99-91. Everyone has said it was closer than it was, which was true. But I wanted to do it in a better fashion. I was like, he was the one that wanted the rematch. And at first, me and Raj were like, no, I'm not giving him it. But then the opportunity, like, there's no one else at that weight, really, that could, or anyone around that weight that could come to challenge me.
Yeah.
So, and a defence on my title would push me straight up the rankings. So I was thinking, I've already been on once, let's do it again, let's do it in a better fashion. And because I came out that ring on after the first win, thinking I could have done better. I was like, I've got more to give than that. And for me, that's what like kept me up at night. I was thinking, I can do better, and I can do better, and I can do better. And to be fair, through that whole camp, even though I had challenges put in front of me, I was like, there's nothing that's going to stop me putting in like a lifetime performance.
Yeah.
But as I said, when you've got things pushing against you, when you get in there, you get tested, and do you know what I mean?
we said to Rats, well, we asked Rats last week, did he think that you put pressure on yourself to go in there and beat him more devastatingly? And he said, without a doubt, would that be accurate?
100%. 100%. Yep.
Was there any sense? Sorry, was there any sense of kind of complacency in your performance? More thinking, right, I'm going to need to put on a performance, but if I don't knock him out, I'm going to have this on points because I've already beaten him on points.
So, to be honest, I don't know, because I kind of had it in my head that if I'd went to points with him, he might have robbed me. But it was like, that last cup was kind of going through my head. I was like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. But in hindsight, I'm a boxer, first and foremost. Like, I'm not a one-hitter quitter.
Yeah.
And like in Mexico and being with David, that's taught me that like I'm best when I'm at long range and when I can fight, I can look good. The stoppage wins will come.
Yeah,
they'll come. Do you know what I mean? So that for me, especially when you look at boxing, the big scene, boys my age, yeah, because they're on the big promoters, like Janae Boston, the cruiserweight fight. He's been fighting like welterweights, heavy, like fat, super lightweights. Yeah. I've been fighting with the super middleweights who can take a bang because they're on the road every weekend. They're like these big promotions are paying their boys, like the away fighters, big money, not to lose, but like not to try their best. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then for me, looking at that, you go, I should be doing the same though. I should be having all these stoppage wins. But at the end of the day, if my game isn't evolving each fight and getting better and better, then it's pointless.
Yeah.
So I need to stop. I've like completely like I barely watch the cards anymore. And all that, and I've deleted like stupid amount of people on Instagram that I used to watch and used to compare myself to, because at the end of the day, it's don't really matter what I'm doing now. Yeah. To get me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
I think there's a good saying out there is the knockout usually comes when you're least looking for it.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm no expert, but it seems to be true, right? The guys that take their time with it and don't look for it and rush it, Yep. So let's get to the fight. It is honestly one of the most crazy fights you will see in this country. Like so I knew that it was being posted on YouTube the next day, right? So I avoided the result.
Yeah.
I watched it on the TV the next day, and within like the first minute, it's almost like two bulls
Yep.
colliding, right? It was like both of you were here to win and to win by stoppage, it would appear, you know? I can't believe that you fought at that pace for 5-6 rounds, however long it went, because I was watching the first round, I was like, this is like super intense, you know what I mean? I know you obviously train and that there's always a, you know, keeping thing in the bank and making sure that you know, it's a process boxing, and it's like there's like an opening segment, the middle rounds, and then the the championship rounds. The first round, there's a lot of exchanges the entire fight, right? It gets to just about the bell. You get put down. I would imagine that's the first time you've been put down in your life, right?
Nah, well, I got put down in amateurs or body shot before, but for a headshot, I was throwing my punch as he was throwing, and he just caught me. I was like, "Whoa!" I was being a dick. I went, "How the fuck did I get here?" That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, "Jesus, get back up!"
No faster ladder than gravity, is there?
I was like, "How did I get here?" But no, I didn't expect it, and especially me being so young. And then this was like the other bit of pressure I put on myself. Me being so young, being basically almost a away fighter. I sat down this stool and I thought, I just every thought of every bad thought that could have came to my head, and that really clouded me and Ratch's being able to like vision to be able to like push through it during the fight. Do you know what I mean? So like I just couldn't see a way out.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to stop him from that point.
Can you remember what Ratch said to you in the corner right after? Because he said it was a flash knockdown, right? So your senses are all still there.
Yeah.
And can you remember what he said to you? Was it more to the point or?
No, I'm pretty sure he was like, just like, let's get back to your boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second round, you did get back to your boxing.
Yeah, and put him down sweet.
And that was a hit. Like we
go,
said,
right,
he is incredibly tough, right? Because there's a lot of guys that would have ate that and would not have bounced back up that quickly, right? Because his legs go from underneath him, basically, right? And, you know, without being biased here, because we're obviously biased towards you, we support you in that. That was probably the heaviest knockdown of the fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to make scoring a knockdown sound like a bad thing, but considering you just kind of got back to your range and that, and then every time you were at range, you were dominating those exchanges and seeing what was coming towards you and that, do you think scoring a knockdown might have been the worst thing that could have possibly happened at that point? Because then you're like, I'm going to go in and finish him, and then that kind of played back into his...
So like he went down heavy, but I'd seen him get back up. He went back to the corner. He had his hands on the ropes, but I knew he was fine because just that quickly he got straight back up. So, and I think especially me taking that knockdown in the first round, my senses were still there, but I'd never been hit like that before. So I don't think maybe my legs were ready for it. And I was battling against that straight for like as soon as that had happened, I was battling against it. I got the knockdown, and this was my inexperience. Somebody who was experienced would have just went on his bike. Like we'd both just scored knockdowns. I would have just went on my bike and got back to my boxing straight away. But instead, you watch, I just go straight in and I stand straight in front of them. And that's a lack of an experience because if I'm standing straight in front of them, they're going to hit me. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So it goes through rounds 3, 4. It's either round 5 or round 6 that the fight actually ends. Was that... You get put down once against the ropes, and then once again, was that at that point fatigue? Was it?
It looked like you couldn't get your distance.
Yeah, because he was just rushing me.
I felt like he was standing on your feet quite a lot, not letting you use your footwork.
I just was in his game completely from the third round on. Like he wanted to make it rough and tough and have me up against the ropes, and not that I allowed him to do it, but maybe my inexperience of how to deal with that, like is shown. You know what I mean? Like he could tell that's how he trained because he knew that's where I was going to be weak, and he found that bit and he attacked it. So and I definitely wasn't ready for that because compared to the shape he came in for the first fight, compared to the second, he was like a different man.
Guy. Yeah.
He worked his ass off, which for me is a kind of kick in the ass because the rematch got pulled because he was injured. Yeah, so-called injured. And my manager Sam's like, you don't have to give him this rematch now. Like, he gave him the chance. But me being so naive and stupid and young and brash, I was like, nah, give him it. It's like, now I've got the upper hand. He asked for it, I gave him it, he pulled out, now let's do it. Yeah. And eat my words. I should have taken the title and run.
Here, it's a learning experience.
Oh, exactly. Hindsight's a great thing, and it's taught me a lot.
It's good to get this so early in your career as well, this learning curve.
100%. I think it's going to be the making of me.
Because if you're getting this at 12, 13, 14 and 0, You know, you've actually got a bit of a bigger name for yourself by then. It's going to hit you a lot harder. Whereas you've went away, you've learned from it.
Yep.
You know, you've changed. I don't know. We're going to speak about it in a minute. You've changed your game. You've learned from your mistakes. At 22, it takes a bit of determination to do that. You know, not a lot of 22-year-olds have got like the stomach to take something as big as a loss as that, turn it around, think, fuck it, I'm going to go away to Mexico. I'm going to train. I'm going to do a bit better. I'm going to take these life lessons. What's the biggest thing you took from that fight?
Number one's the most important. If it doesn't benefit me or the people I care about, then there's no point in doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to say like a few things in life that don't benefit you, especially if it's benefiting somebody else.
Yeah, 100%.
You can only give so much yourself to the world, and especially at this stage in my life, like growing older. Like you may be like, it's like when somebody gets like a good job, and like one of your pals gets a great job, and he goes away and grafts for like 5-6 months straight. You don't see him at all. He's been working. That's his. It's like a Acker stage of your life, people call it, where you spend like 3 months of just dialing in. Like that's like that is so important, and I feel like that's my stage that I'm going through now, because I don't want anything else but boxing. I want to do this full time. I want to make money from it. I want to leave the game with titles and opportunities to fight in big places, and that's what I'm going to do.
Can you remember when the official comes up to you and the fight's getting stopped? Can you remember what he's saying to you? And can you remember, like, how long did it take for that feeling to sink in? Like shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it
was tough. Yeah. Kevin was like, I've seen enough. My eye was cut. Like, I think I had like 8 stitches above my eye. The eye was pouring out my blood. My nose was went. And he's looking at me and he's going, nah, I've seen enough. Because when I was on the floor, I was ready to go back up. I looked at him, I went, I've got one more. Let me have one more. And then as soon as I stood up, he just went, nah, this is it. Because at the end of the day, he's got to look after me.
100%. And you as a competitor are always going to
I'm always going to say, yeah.
You know, so, you know, we were talking about earlier, it maybe took a bit of time to sink in, like, I'm the champion. So how long did it take to sink in from the other kind of perspective? What happens the rest of the night? Is it, when you get back, did you go home straight away, or were you staying in a hotel?
No, so I was staying in a hotel. I had Aaron and Lucas with me, and I was devastated. I remember going back to the changing room, and mate, I could have took that whole place down. I was that angry at myself. It was a hard one to take, and especially like going back to the room, knowing that was my chance gone. But it wasn't. But that's how I felt at the time.
Yeah, it felt like that at the time, right?
It felt like my world was coming down on me. Like at 22, it's hard to take.
The only thing gone there from you, mate, is your zero.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
exactly.
only thing.
And then maybe that pressure's gone now.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I wasn't really bothered about that. Like I could lose it again, and I'm still going to go again, because that's the deal I've made with myself, and I'm going to ride it out until the end. Because I've been boxing since the age of 10. If I'd because don't get me wrong, after a couple of weeks after the fight, after my loss, I was like, I might just pan this in. I was working. I was doing good at work. It was summertime, but like, I'm not gonna let something else define me from what I want. And so that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like we almost, and this happens for everyone. Like we almost kind of catastrophize what happens, right? Especially when it is a loss, because losing sucks, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right, it's part of life, but it absolutely sucks. It doesn't matter what it is in anyone's kind of life, it happens to them. And I would imagine, especially after such a high, kind of that loss was probably even more hard and devastating to take, because you had experienced such a high moment. You're like, yes, this is just the beginning, right? And this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, can we speak about Corey just to kind of finish up on this rematch? Now, he's actually went on and won a couple fights since the rematch, and he still holds a hold of the title at the moment. Title or no title, you as a competitor, is that someone that you would like to face again for that trilogy?
That's not for me to decide. That's going to be my trainer, David's. And he's already said that. He's going to decide. We've got a plan. If that Corey falls into that plan, when I'm ready for it, we're going to take it. But for right now, it's all about me. Not really caring about Corey.
Awesome, mate. How did Mexico come about?
Yeah, I'm interested about this one as well.
You've just came back from like a 4-week kind of training camp. over in Guadalajara.
Yeah,
Is that how you say
Guadalajara.
it? I see all these pronunciations and it gives me anxiety before doing it. I just kind of go for it. But, so how did that come about? How did that opportunity come about? And we'll go from there. And how did that go for you?
So before my loss, me and young Stephen Noon, Stephen's older than me, he's 25, but Stephen Noons, former Commonwealth Games boxer. Plan was me and him were going to go out to Vegas for some sparring. End of July. I woke up in the morning and the boy was like, yeah, there's no point in this, because obviously but I lost on the record. It was kind of just to see put feelers out to see what could have happened over in the States, over at Top Rank. And Jay basically found me on YouTube about after my September fight in last year.
Yeah.
September fight last year. He had seen that and he was like, Jay's story. 17, he moved away to 17, he moved to London until he was 18 himself. He's from Edinburgh, boxed all his life. At 19, moved to the States himself and basically made a living out of fighting top fighters as a sparring partner for the likes of Sugar Shane Mosley, Adrian Broner. That's how he was making his money. He was just going doing rounds with them day in, day out. Then I think it was 22 or something like that, he turned pro. He ended up going to 7-0. He signed to PBC, never fought. What was life went in a bit of a different direction. He's about 30 years old now. He does a lot of matchmaking for promotions over in America. Just he's been in about the gyms, knows the people, and obviously that's where he went to. But he was taking time out. He was going to Guadalajara, and he said, "Look, I'm here for 3 months. Come stay with me for as long as you want." And then I was about to go out with my mates, and then I was like, I'm booking these flights before I go out, because if I don't, I'll wake up in the morning and not do it.
Talk yourself
So
out
before I went out and I had a drink with the mates, I was like, so I booked my flights to Guadalajara, and then that was it. About a month later, I flew out to Guadalajara myself.
And that's not just one flight either, isn't it? There's a
No, mate, it was
flight.
18 and a half hours. And the worst part is the American Airlines lost my bag. I spent 4 weeks with no luggage.
That airline has been getting some absolute heat recently. Apparently they treat
I just got my bag back last week. This week, sorry.
you got it?
Tuesday. I got it back.
Okay.
It's madness. Mexico training.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between Mexican training and Scottish training?
Fight for it's their life.
Yeah.
Day in, day out. I was sparring Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 9 o'clock every week for that 4 weeks.
Different world over
Tough.
there, isn't it?
Yeah, they literally, but they all in that gym in Julian Magdaleno, they love each other. Eh? There's boys a bit more competitive than others, but they have got each other's backs through and through, because obviously a lot of them come from different backgrounds. I did a lot of rounds with Gabriel Golaz, who's he's ranked number 1 in the WBA at 140, and he was a fresh breath of air to speak to. He's 20 years old, kind of just fringing on the world title contention. He's had a lot of big wins, but to see where he is now compare it to where he was when he first started fighting, it's two different. It's the Ritz to bloody St. Mags and Lost. It's nuts, but to see that and to be able to experience boxing in a different form was great.
Did it give you kind of reaffirmation when you're doing the sparring that I belong here? You know what I mean? Because obviously you're sparring.
So
really
the plan was I wasn't going
guys.
to spar for the first week, but we turned up, me and Jay, and they were like, "Well, what put you in Nikita?" We turned up, but we were just looking at the gym. He was like, "Do you want to come in and spar?" And this was I arrived on the Wednesday. I sparred on a Friday. Jet lag and everything, and so we were right, we'll do 5 rounds with Nikita Mikinchenko, or I can't pronounce his last name, he's Russian, signed to Canelo Alvarez anyway, and I battered him. He did. I got battered the first couple of spars because just wasn't used to how they spar.
Yeah.
The pace over here is a lot faster in sparring. Over there, everything is slowed down. They will spend 6-7 rounds throwing one jab to land a rear hand in the 8th. And it's as technical as that. And even their head movement, if they were telling me to slow down, everything's slowed down. Because the only thing that should be fast is your feints and your punches. Mm-hmm. So, no, it was a good experience, especially, as I said, boxing in a different form. It was great.
I suppose as well, that kind of come forward pressure style, getting in your face, that is literally called Mexican style,
It is,
isn't
but
it?
It is, but to be honest, the sparring I got over there weren't like that. Golaz likes sitting on the back foot, he likes sitting on the ropes, he likes Philly shelling and stuff like that, and then coming back with counters. Nikita, he's a former Russian amateur standout. He's 14. He went 15-0 yesterday as a pro. He's a former WBO youth world champion, and he doesn't box in the front foot. He boxes in the back foot, and I think that's only now happening because of the name that Canelo's got and Chepo. Obviously, they're coming in to train with Chepo and won't be trained by him, but he's now got the option. Does not have that coming forward fighter. Probably the scariest fighter I've seen there was a boy, General Caesar or something his nickname is. He's 21 years old. He's 24-0 from last Friday. He's WBC South America's champion. So was he 24-0? I think he's 21 knockouts. Kid's 21 years old.
Jesus.
And I watched him hit the pads. He's a flyweight, so that's what, 51 kilo. I've never seen somebody hit the pads so hard in my life. I was like, what the hell? Me and Jay were sat looking at his box rack, and I was like, oh, there's his first title fight. You end up like killing the boy. The boy went non-responsive after he put him down the 7th. Like, he just walked away so mean, but then you speak to him, he's the nicest little kid you've ever met. I was like, what the hell? I was like, they make him different over here. They make him different. Insane. But like 21 years old and 24-0, that's nuts. He's been fighting since he was 15 in the pros.
Do you think like the biggest thing that you learned over there was patience?
Patience, and it was like a newfound confidence I found over there. Jay kept saying to me, he's like, you've got ability, but if you've not got the confidence to match it, it's not going to transfer over. So like you have to be confident in there, or it's not going to work for you. Yeah. And the more confidence I had, I was getting more confidence, and the punches were landing. And I was seeing the punches landing, and everything just kept doubling. By the end, I was sparring great, like really good. Chepo was really impressed by the last couple of spars as well.
Because he's like a world-renowned trainer as well, right? Like, what was it like meeting him?
Nuts. He's funny as anything. He puts on the Spanish music, starts dancing and that before the sparring. It's class.
Was there like any language barrier, or did he speak
so
English?
There was a bit, but Chris, one of the pals that came down, he owns MK1. He's half Mexican American, so he did a good bit of translating while he was there, but he was only there for a week. And then there was one other kid in the gym that spoke a bit of English, and he did a bit of translating. But like, boxing's a world language.
Yeah,
you kind of
universal,
get it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So like, what about, because you've been like an active guy, right? Like, and I suppose, especially with how decisions go, sometimes there must be sometimes like a conscious kind of thought of, I need to throw punches here, because if I don't throw enough punches, then they might nick the round to someone else. And we've seen the amount of kind of questionable decisions that go down in boxing at all levels. It's not just to the highest echelon of fights and whatnot. But like you said, I suppose that kind of waiting and being confident that you're going to get someone eventually, right, is grounds you a lot than just being like, right, I need to make sure I've thrown like 30 or 40 punches around or whatever.
I feel like if you are a one-hitter quitter, and you will know before you get in that ring whether you can stop that opponent. Yeah. 100%. It was like when I fought Jordan Laitmer, I came off the scales and I went to West May. I was like, I'm going to stop him tomorrow night. I was like, I just know it. Like, I could feel it in myself. I could feel it when I was around him. So I feel like fighters that do fight like that will only fight like that when they know they could do the job properly. Yeah. If the fighter knows he needs to go to 10, 12 rounds, he's going to do it. So, and that's me. I'm not a one hitter quitter, and that's come back to like me comparing myself to other people. I'm best when I'm boxing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if it means I've got to go 10, 12 rounds for the rest of my career to get to where I want to be, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it better than anyone else has done it. So,
too right. You just spoke. You kind of picked up patience in your game. Is there anything like technically you picked up from Mexico? Like, is there anything you're doing now differently in your game? As in throwing punches differently? Is there any little tips you picked up that you've? I've
just got confidence to throw my hands now. I spent a lot of my amateur careers popping and weaving, just putting one punch, jabs, rear hand, jabs, rear hands. Where now I'm putting my punches together a lot nicer, and it's like, that's what I'm saying. I found confidence. Like, I'm happy to go do that now. Where before I wouldn't, because it was like, if I go do that, maybe I'll blow my tank out. Yeah, maybe like it was. I've got stupid amounts of confidence now. To where I was.
Less like hesitancy to do that. 100%. Because like, that's the things that we all have, those thoughts, right, in everyday life, like, oh, I better shouldn't do that, or sometimes we're like, oh, I can't do that, and all that kind of stuff. And when you realise that's just in your mind a lot of the time, right? Which is a powerful thing because your mind can be quite overwhelming. Where were you staying in Mexico? Were you close to the gym or?
I can't pronounce it, but I was like literally 10 minutes from the gym, 10-minute walk from the gym. So it was like wake up, breakfast, straight into the gym in the mornings. So
How was the
that
food
good.
and things like that?
The food was good, man.
Yeah.
The food was great. I enjoyed a good bit of the food when I was over there. Like they can't not. But Mexican food here compared over there is completely different. Like what you have here is not Mexican food.
Yeah. Taco Bell in Aberdeen or something.
Yeah. No, that's not Mexican food. But the food's great.
Yeah.
I was scared though because the WBC have a rule through the Nevada Commission for their drug testing that like boxers from Mexico can have like small doses of clenbuterol
In the meat and stuff
because
like
they
that. Yeah.
inject everything. Mate. If the stakes were like yay big,
Jesus.
it was like trying to stay away from something. Not that it would matter. Like, but,
No, yeah, but I was just gonna. Yeah, Ratch made a joke last week. we were talking about the Canelo thing last time.
Yep.
Remember? Because I remember you brought up that the WBC had actually
Clenbuterol.
found, like he's not taking it on purpose. It's legit, actually in the beef. And Ratch went, it's probably why Fraser Wilkinson's went over.
That's right.
exactly right.
Obviously, like that gym's had some like massive names, and I've seen like obviously paintings of Canelo up there,
Yeah.
and that was that a bit like surreal to see because
Yeah.
obviously he's still the biggest boxer in the world.
He's the
at
biggest
moment.
name in boxing, 100%.
Yeah.
Nah, it was cool. The gloves they fought Floyd Mayweather hanging in the gym, and
No
I was
way.
like, that's a fight, man. Do you know what I mean? To be able to see them, that was cool.
Canelo's like a bit of a wonder, really, isn't he? Like you look at his he's turned pro at 15. It was like knocking 30-year-olds out and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Never
straight
mind
away.
that. He's the least Mexican looking person you've ever seen in your
It's
life.
out of like a family of 4 brothers. He's the only ginger one.
Aye, he like you couldn't get a
He's
more
like a
Scottish
fun-
guy
Yeah.
at this game. It's
We'll claim
mad.
it.
Yeah, that'll be us. I'm going to push us on to your next fight. 2 weeks out from your next fight.
Yep.
September 9th.
Ardo House, Aberdeen.
Yeah, I was trying to get an opponent name. Do you have an opponent name?
No, opponent yet.
No.
We've had a couple put in the mix.
Okay.
Memedov, Minchenko, or something like that. Just fought Ben Bartlett. But there's this next fight, especially what David said, is not about me trying to prove something. It's just about me getting the win, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So whoever it is in the night, I'm just gonna get the job done, and that's gonna be it. And then we reschedule. And I've only been with David about gonna be like 4 weeks full on. So like to be really try to do something would be stupid. I'm gonna take as long as it needs to get me to where I want to be before we even think about doing anything else. So
And it
Stick
takes
to fight
takes
comes.
time for that kind of rapport and chemistry and all that to build, right? Because obviously you've been with Ratch for so long, and like you even seen it with like we mentioned Anthony Joshua actually before we came on mic, and he's just went to Derek James, and you can see like he's trying to like build to something, he's learning something new, and it'd be interesting to see how he continues learning in the Deontay Wilder fight, like we were saying. How we know Ratch is obviously taking a step away from the program. Was that the kind of main kind of catalyst for going to Northern Sport Club and stuff like that? And was Davey the first one you kind of thought of when you were informed that Ratch would be taking a step back from the pro game?
yeah. So me and Raj both knew something had to change if we were going to continue, whether it was him training me in the way he was going to do it or whatever, or I was going to have to eventually move out. We knew from the start. He said to me, he was like, when I feel it's time to let you go, I'm going to let you go.
Yep.
And I'll help you, I'll support you with it. So he mentioned David, and to me, it was going to be, well, I was on the phone to my manager, Sam, was like, look, Raj is pulling away. And then we were looking up the options, and I've known David since I was a young lad. I've been in his gym a lot, sparring, and I know him really well. So for me, being in that gym, as soon as I got over there, it just felt like home again. Do you know what I mean? So
I
it
think
felt
it
like a
is
good vibe.
Smarty over there as well now.
So he is, he's
Yeah.
over there now.
So familiar faces as well in there.
Yeah. I know the lads in the gym.
You've been there for
especially,
sparring and that, I would imagine as well.
in the Northern District as well, do amateur boxing, everyone kind of sticks together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So, Ardo House, Aberdeen, September 9th. I listened to our conversation back in November last night, right? And there was a thing that I think is appropriate to bring up now, because I remember you saying, you never know how good you are until you lose. And then I ended up down a bit of a boxing rabbit hole on YouTube last night, so it ended up being a Teddy Atlas quote of like, you never know someone, whether it be your friends, your family, or yourself, until you're tested.
Yeah.
So it would be fair to say that last fight was a test in more ways than one, right? Not just the fight itself, but the aftermath of it and going away training and all these type of things. Are we going to see how good Fraser Wilkinson really is starting September 9th?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The way I've been performing in the gym, the way I'm looking, the way I'm feeling, like as I said, this newfound confidence I've got, which is only going to get better. I'm only 22. By the time I'm 27, like there's no telling where I'm going to be. But on September 9th, definitely going to see something different from me. Just a more calm, confident, positive boxing. Like before my amateur first 4 or 5 fights, I was just boxing how we would have done the amateurs. Where now I feel like I'm a pro. My feet have slowed down. I'm still using my footwork. I'm not neglecting it because David wants me to still box. But everything's straight down the middle. Everything's nice and long. Everything's how it's meant to be for me. So it's going to be good to see it. I can't wait. I'm buzzing. You know what I mean?
Before we'll go a little bit further, and then we'll go get in some boxing talk, because wherever we have someone on for boxing, there's always something going down in the combat sports world that we need to. We've obviously got Usyk and Dubois in like a couple hours time. Is there anything different training? Like, it's obviously your first time, kind of your main gym not being Elgin Boxing Club, right? Like, is there any differences? Is it much and such the same? Obviously, there'll be differences between Ratch and Dave as coaches, I would imagine, but just in terms of like, the routine, I suppose.
Yeah. So I'm in the gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays with David, and it's tough. It's mega tough. You know what I mean? Like that family is probably, especially in North of Scotland, has the biggest rich history in boxing, as far as it goes. Like brother Lee McAllister, Matty, Lee and David all boxed all the way up through national level. Matty was professional as well. David's trained the likes of Darren Trainer, who fought Carl Frampton, Dean Sutherland, who was WBO youth world champion, Christian Fraser was a Commonwealth champion. So like he's been about, and he knows the game, and I can have confidence in that he's telling me the right things to do. You know what I mean? Like he says to me, he's like, if he was in it for the money, he wouldn't care as much. But David, he proper cares about his boxers. He gets a bit of bite out of seeing people improve.
Yeah, and
I've seen that. Because the first, probably what I was saying, but the first spar I had in there was against Jimmy, and I like usually go back to the corner, he gives you a drink, he's like, you're not getting a drink until you start doing what you're told. Do you know what I mean? Like he's tough on me like that. But like that's what I've been needing now. I need someone to just be straight down the middle with me.
Yep.
No questions asked.
Like we were saying, someone to rein you in, right? Like, because do you react well to that? I would imagine you do, right? Yeah.
100%. Because I'm the person that questions whether I'm ever doing enough. And when you've got somebody turning around and being like, look, pull back, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But as I said, because he's took boys all that way and all that high level, I've got that confidence being like, oh, I'm just going to listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Is he a promoter as well, technically? I know that
I'm pretty sure it's his
brother, right? Okay.
Because
I know Northern Sport Club have actually promoted shows.
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff
promoters
like
as
that
well.
themselves. So, hoping all, obviously, if and when all goes well, September 9th.
Yep,
do you reckon you'll be getting another fight in before the end of the year? Do you not want to look too far ahead?
We've looked at an Elgin show. David said he'd put on an Elgin show for me, but there's also there's also
save 2 tickets.
Yeah, there is also the look at Ballroom at the end of November. So that's a possibility as well.
How would an Elgin show be for you again, right? Because obviously I would imagine it would probably be different opponent. Do you relish getting back to doing an Elgin one?
I want to fight in Elgin as much as possible.
Yeah, because it's great for the area, isn't it?
100%.
I remember you last time here saying Borough-Briggs.
I still want that,
and I can see that happening because you obviously you're a popular guy, right? And
well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
No, you are though. But the way that you conduct yourself and. Like we were saying about last time because we didn't obviously really know what to expect to begin with. We could only kind of gauge so much from little interviews and clips on YouTube and that. But when you came in and I was saying to Rats last week, is you're still a very young guy, right? At 22, but the head on your shoulder seems to be a lot more mature than what most 22-year-olds is, and that's not me just trying to shower praise on you for just saying, you know what I mean? But I've seen it myself from Lee was mentioning earlier, our kind of age group. It was more people are still kind of in the kind of twilight of their 18-year-old
A
self,
lot of
right?
people at your age are still finding themselves, but you seem to have found yourself quite early on and know your route in
I
life.
wouldn't say I found myself. I'd say I know what I want.
Yep.
It's finding how to get there. It's the stage I'm going through. But don't get me wrong, like I'll be at home, see my pals out drinking and that, and I'm sat at home, like watching some boxing documentaries, and it's gut wrenching. But I know just the sacrifices I've got to make to get where I want to be.
Yeah, and that will pay off in the long run, right?
100%.
You know what I mean? So
There might
Yeah.
be a day where you can go to a pub in your 40s, you don't have to buy yourself a drink.
Because I own the pub.
You own the pub. You own the pub. Yeah, there you go. 'Cause you own the pub. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, like you were saying, I think that would be massive, because the show in Elgin Town Hall, that's forever. That, do you know what I mean? Like that picture of you getting the title or you up in the ropes is history. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? When
yeah.
people say, who was the first ever like person to do this? Fraser Wilkinson's the name that comes
Yeah,
up. Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
That must be.
It's mad.
And I said this to Aidan when he was on. I know you don't want to look back just now because you want to do greater things going forward, but you must take a moment and be like, look at how far this has came from me just going into a local boxing club at 10 years old. Do you know what I mean? And look at what I've done so far, still early in my career. You know, the amount that you've achieved. Do you know what I mean?
Is there any members of your family who do like scrapbooking with your paper
Yeah, my
counts?
mum does.
Yeah.
Mum's got everything.
Do you ever look back on that?
Sometimes. But
Yeah.
like to me, it was a great moment, and it
Yeah.
was. But it can be done better. And if we were to do somewhere like Barrabriggs, Elgin Town Hall is going to do better as well. Like me, Andrew obviously sold tickets as well, but obviously him not fighting, not everyone's going to keep coming. But we can fill out Elgin Town Hall better than that.
Yeah.
And maybe if we do that again, but to the full capacity, then maybe we can think about Barrabriggs. But until then, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we've got to be realistic. How much can we actually get out of Elgin Hall? How much people are actually going to want to come to something like
Yeah.
that?
Because I think Smarty had mentioned the sports centre as well.
There
at some
were,
point.
we asked them, but I don't think they're just not interested at all. Which,
Really?
Yeah.
Come
But
on,
it is what it is. So.
But yeah, so will we get into some boxing talk
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
we round
absolutely.
off? We've already been going an hour, like it just
It's
flies
just-
by. Do you know what I mean?
Madness, just madness.
So we'll start off with the fight that's literally about to happen. We are obviously great at predictions. The last UFC we did, we got like 75% wrong. So like,
yeah, I predicted Derek Lewis. So
well,
I'll
yeah,
take- I'll take that.
that's the only thing that we predicted
I'll
right
take
that
I'll
night.
take that all day long.
But we've got Usyk and Dubois in a couple hours. I like, my kind of first thought is it should be an Usyk defense. And with that being said, congratulations, Daniel Dubois, for being the unified world champion.
TKO first round.
How do you think that fight goes down?
Usyk late stoppage. It's a big ask for a 25-year-old to go over at Ukraine, or where's it, Poland?
Poland,
and pull off something against such a prestigious boxer. Especially somebody so flat-footed and big. He's just going to play into Usyk's hand all night. But don't get me wrong, Dubois is a one-hitter quitter.
Yeah.
You get caught like Joshua hurt Usyk in the second fight and didn't do anything with it. I don't think you'll get that Dubois. If Dubois catches Usyk, he's going to go for it.
He's got that off switch.
Whether he's going to get knocked out doing it, he's going to go for it, especially being so young.
You gave us a very interesting take earlier on Anthony Joshua Wilder. I find it so interesting because I'm just a casual fan. You actually box, and you've probably given me the first Joshua prediction for that fight.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to think it's going to go the other way. Why do you think Joshua's going to win that fight?
Well, as I said, look who Wilder's fought. A lot of the same people Joshua's fought. And as soon as Wilder got tested against Tyson, he crumbled.
As soon as he pushed
And
him
it wasn't
back,
even
really.
like a fight. He properly crumbled.
Yeah.
Do you think his head went in that Fury fight when you seen Fury getting up?
No.
There's been a lot of talk about that.
I seen a thing about that the last day. It was like Terence Crawford. He said both men won that fight. That was probably the longest 10 count you've ever seen in boxing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
He was
true.
counted out.
Yeah.
But up until that point, he was boxing Wilder's head off. So both men won that night. Second one, Fury knew what he had to do, put on a couple of pounds and put his weight on him and tired him and beat him.
said himself, as soon as I pushed him back, I was like, oh, this dude can't fight off the back
Yeah,
foot. And then
exactly.
And then the third fight was outrageous as well, right? Because it looked like it was going the same way. And then Deontay Wilder was like, have this hand grenade.
Yeah, dude, he's a small heavyweight in terms of how much he weighs, but he can hit.
Yeah.
He's got a right hand from helmet.
Like, I think, well, obviously it looks like he's going to be fighting Joshua, but at the time when they were having like fights in between, because Joshua was meant to fight Dillian White, and then obviously that got called off because last said that about the better again. But
I'm pretty sure I said it in the last. I have no interest in that fight. Like
the first one was really good, but I think it was just because of the build up and the gloves are off and all that type of stuff, and the fight delivered because they were kind of similar stages of the career. It was like a British title they were fighting for way back in the day, and you can tell that there's still heat there. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's Dillian White's third positive test, which is like
he's gone.
Yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one.
But then Hellenius has just tested positive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for against Joshua today.
He just got flattened. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow.
Joshua's had a lot of guys test, but like Jarrell Miller as well, and he was on everything. Like, you know.
They say timing's key, and if you were to look at Wilder now and look how he's progressed compared to how Joshua's progressed, I'd have to pick Joshua because, as I said, timing's key. He's moving. Joshua's moving forward. Wilder's kind of staying in the same place. If you're not progressively getting better, like you're always going to get better, even until the day you retire. There's always something new you can learn. There's always something different you can take in or start to use or start taking. But I would just have to pick Joshua. I am a big Joshua fan and always have been. Like, but I'm being realistic in terms of like what is Wilder going to do? He's never been able to box. He's only been able to hit. And what can Joshua do? Joshua can't move. He can also hit. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a fantastic fight. It's probably bigger than Fury Joshua just now anyway.
Yeah.
I think Fury's just ruining the game, going and fighting Ngannou.
Yeah.
I was actually going to move you on. Do you think there is a possibility that Francis Ngannou
not a chance in hell? He's 6'4".
Yeah.
Tyson Fury's almost 7 foot tall. He's not going to get near him.
And like,
he'll probably get stopped. I'm not even going to lie. I reckon Fury probably stops.
Yeah, I can't see that going more than a couple of rounds because, like, if you watch Ngannou's fights, he gets tired after 5 minutes.
Of course, he's like 250 pounds.
You know what I mean? Like, and the only way he can win that fight, right, is literally 0.0001% or whatever, right? Is he has to rush him.
He has to rush him first 10 seconds of that fight and just start laying it on his chin. It's the only way he's got any chance of winning that fight.
And Mike Tyson is like on the Francis Ngannou hype train saying he's going to knock him out in that, and Fury's never faced someone that hits him hard.
Mike Tyson's going to do anything for a buck. Do you know what I mean?
Fury's a generational talent. There's nobody that big that moves like that. Like there's never been that.
Since like just saying it, but since Ali, what heavyweight has moved that big and that quick?
Yeah, Roy Jones maybe the last person to do it, and he's not a heavyweight.
He was super middle.
Yeah, he did go up to heavyweight though.
Yeah, he came back.
Yeah. He was like, no, actually, you're talking about prime Mike Tyson. I'm going back down.
I'm going to ask you a quick one before we're going to. What do you think of the whole YouTube shit just now with Jake Paul? I know we spoke about it last time, but somebody explained it to me the other day. Right, Nate Diaz fought this guy. I can't remember which one he fought. Jake. Mm-hmm. He says Nate Diaz getting paid 20 million off of that fight. You know, for essentially fighting a guy who can't fight. You know, he's making a lot of money off of it. Do you think that like there's 10 years worth of paydays in one fight for a boxer there? You know?
Yeah, no, it's a bit nuts. But the revenue they're bringing in, like you would go back to football. Female football players and male football players at World Cup are getting paid less. But then if they're bringing in the revenue,
that's it.
Yeah,
they got to get paid their dues.
It's a business as well as a sport, right?
I feel sorry. Like KSI is gonna get hurt by Tommy.
Yeah,
100%. What? Like without a doubt. Like I'll give it to Jake. Jake probably beats KSI because Jake genuinely is in camp, like working his ass off, and you can see there was a bit of improvement. He's not like at the end of the day, but like KSI, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
Like
just a mouth.
Like he needs to shut up. Like he's gonna lose Tommy, and that's gonna be the end of YouTube boxing. I feel.
Big John Fury wiping out tables as well.
Yeah, like that's just too.
That guy needs drug tested and not the steroid kind. You know what I mean?
Just anything part.
I'm gonna just quickly throw this in. I have watched Tyson Fury's latest thing on Netflix. I really did enjoy that. Like,
yeah.
You see a different side to the guy.
I think you see a different side to him every time he's out in public, to be honest. You know what I mean? I never know what he's doing, man.
But he goes a bit deeper into his mental health struggles and that, and you get a different understanding of him through that, you know. Him and his missus have also got like a cracking relationship. Like they've been together since they were like kids.
18,
But it's like a love-hate relationship. They fucking hate each other at some points. But it's true what they say, behind every big man's a strong woman, and like she has full power over him.
Oh, yeah, because she's going to have to, do you know what I mean?
It's madness. But his kids, yeah, look out in the next 10 years, because there's his kids, they're in boxing just now.
Yeah.
I think he's got like an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old. The kid looks about 14. He's going about just punching kids on the camera and stuff. But
And that, that family, that's what they're
That's
known
all they
for,
do,
fighting, you know what I mean? So
I think what's his name, Tommy, done himself a bit of a disservice by going on the
Love Island
program.
I don't think he'd ever amount to anything as a boxer. He's got a lot. So the difference between the likes of Tommy and KSI is, Tommy's been in the gym since he's been a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say he's a good boxer.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's not going to win a British title not because of he lacks the ability, but because of the profile he is.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to be able to get himself in that position to challenge for it.
And also, like, every fight he has, that's not like Tyson. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, there are different weight classes and all that type of stuff, but people do compare people, do you know what I mean? And obviously, like you said, he can't reach that level, you know what I mean, just from what we've seen in his pro career. And, like, that Jake Paul fight, it wasn't exactly a blowout, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
it wasn't.
And to be honest, like I know like the whole Jake Paul antics and that, it gets called garbage and that, but to be fair, out of all of them that are doing it, it does seem like he is one that like does seem to show a bit of improvement. And I know like,
but that's probably because he's the only one spending 80 grand on
yeah,
camp.
100%.
Give me an 80 grand camp and I will be ready for world title tomorrow.
He's just moved to, where is it? He's moved to like Puerto Rico or something like that. Just lifted himself out of there. But I do find it funny that like, so he lost to a boxer, right? Because everyone was like, as soon as he fights like an actual boxer, he'll lose, which happened. And now he's went back to the MMA guys, but he's now got a deal with PFL as well. And I can't wait till he fights in MMA and starts fighting MMA against boxers.
He's going to get
rolling around the deck with boxers, I'll roll him.
Yeah. But I even seen Paulo Malignaggi. He fought a TikTok guy. I had no idea this happened, and he took him a decision.
That's a former world champ.
It's fucking madness.
Like, let's just say like someone that's of your weight that's in one of these, if you're going in there, you're starching them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anyone of this level, because they would probably see someone
All
that's
day.
like 5-6-0 and be like, oh well, I'm sure that they're not that good, and then the reality would hit them in the first 30 seconds when they got cracked with a straight. Do you know what I mean? So, and some of these dudes are out there like going up to professional fighters at shows and hitting them in the back of the head, and that's like, you have got to be careful, son. This is not WWE.
Ricky Burns, Willie Lemond, who wins that fight?
Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
no disrespect to Willie, but he's over the hill.
yeah.
Just a bit more than Ricky is. Like Ricky's probably still got a bit left in him.
I think the only thing maybe Willie's got going for him is he's active more recently.
Yeah, because did Ricky retire at one point? Or
we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago because, we said this to Rach last week. Kind of blew us out a bit. We both thought he was retired, and then we seen his name popping up.
No, he wasn't retired. He signed to who did he sign to? He signed to Probellum,
Okay,
which was basically MTK after they got folded. And then they had pre-booked the OVO Hydro for Bricky. I think they're trying to find an opponent, and then it got pulled like 3 weeks to go. And that was a year and a half ago, something like that. Just as I was coming back.
it's because he was the biggest name in Scottish boxing for years.
They said that like he was pulling 6,000 fans every 8 weeks into Glasgow to watch him fight. Like it's immense numbers.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
and he was. I remember him because like when I left school, I worked in the building site, and the thing to do was buy the newspaper every day, and the boxing section was just Ricky Burns. Like there was nothing else in the boxing section. But it's good to see, and a big fight. And obviously, we said Smarty's going to be on the undercard of that fight.
That's a massive platform as well, right?
Yeah,
Especially and
It'll be broadcast on BBC, so BBC iPlayer, and then the main event's going to be on BBC Scotland.
Awesome.
Right. That's good.
First fight companion test.
Yeah, I think we might have to go for it.
Yeah.
I think
So September.
Do you know what a fight companion is?
No, it's so much to fight.
So we're not allowed to.
We can't show like
we can't show the actual fight, but if you tell people like, right, this is 2:59 of round 1, people start there and they watch it, and we kind of go live with them. So I think that might be
because we're doing it for one Mr. Steven in November.
Aiden's fighting November, so we're going to fight companion him then. Just new things to try out, isn't it?
Yeah, why not? You know what I mean?
Just stealing Rogan's ideas. But
there's a joke in there, but I'll leave it alone. What did you think about some of the fights that have happened recently? So Spence Crawford went down probably about a month ago.
Mate, I thought Spence was going to win on Fight Week. I was like, Spence has got this in the bag. And then I'd seen the media workout. I was like, well, look at his feet. It's like, man, his feet's never looked that bad in his life. Like, could barely pick him up. And then just before they went out, they did like the interview in the changing rooms, and you looked at Spence's face, and you're like, he's not fully rehydrated. You could see it.
He's a big dude for 147.
And then he won the first round. I thought, oh no, well maybe not. And then it was just completely all Bud.
Yeah,
Bud knew what he was doing from the get go. Do you know what I mean?
Took that trash talk personally over the last 6 years. It would appear. Yeah, he's talking about going up to 168 to fight Canelo, which I'm like,
catch me at 164.
Yeah, it's like maybe.
Yeah, if that happens, win or lose, Bud's probably one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
if he goes to distance with Canelo at 168, he is on par, basically nearly better than Floyd to me.
I think that.
And just remember, Ricky Burns went 12 rounds with Bud.
That's right. I think that fight result depends on where that fight is. As mad as it is, see that's in Canelo's backyard.
You think they're going to be up to some?
Yeah. It's just.
You see the fight in Guadalajara against John Ryder, like his walkout. It was there was like 1,000 mariachi players. It was nuts.
Because they always have it on Cinco de Mayo, don't they? In like May
weekend.
And then they always have it in September as well. But yeah, Canelo's he's inevitable, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like some of the fights he's been in, like obviously I think he boxed Floyd like 21.
23, I think.
23. But very
Floyd Mayweather 23. That's nuts.
And then the Triple G.
Triple G. Yeah,
they robbed Triple G though.
Yeah, the first one. 100% they robbed him the first time. I think like everyone had it like maybe 5-6 rounds in Triple G because Canelo got tired right in the first one, and then Adlai Burt, not even being subtle, was like, well, Canelo's won this by 10 rounds, it would appear, and everyone's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
There was one more that I wanted to ask about, but I've just totally lost my train of thought.
Ruiz Garcia fight.
Yes.
So the Garcia fight, what did you think of that recently?
Who, Davis versus Garcia?
Yeah.
That was money. That's all that was.
I didn't expect it.
Straight up money.
Didn't expect it. Like
you knew from the get go Davis was just gonna maul him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If Davis can keep on track and keep fighting, keep getting the well, obviously now with Devin Haney probably moving up to super lightweight, vacate the belts.
Yeah.
Davis has got a chance to grab him one, so that'll be good. But similarly, Ryan Garcia is going to end up fighting O'Hara Davies.
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Rolly Romero is the champion at one super lightweight.
that always reminds me of Yoel Romero. Like,
But he's been given like 7. Like, I think he's got like 24 hours left to basically prove that he's got an injured shoulder or whatever. And if he doesn't, he'll get stripped. Then they'll look at the highest ranked, which is O'Hara Davies, and he's just signed to Canelo. He's just signed to Golden Boy, which is where Ryan's signed to. So O'Hara Davies is probably going to end up fighting Ryan Garcia for the super lightweight WBA title.
how do you think Devin Haney gets on moving up?
What did you think about the result of his last fight? Were you of someone that he won?
I thought he won it.
Yeah.
I thought he beat Loma.
Yeah.
Was it Loma?
Yeah, Lomachenko,
Loma. I thought he beat Loma. But it was close. It was really close.
Yeah, it was razor thin.
But like they say, to beat, if you're going to go in there and beat a champion, like especially an undisputed champion, you've got to be winning them late rounds. Like you can't take your foot off the gas when it comes to like 11, 11, 12, and you've got to beat them indefinite.
Yeah.
Like you can't just win against champion by a round. Like no, like especially them American judges, they're not giving that. Like if you look at George Kambosos versus Maxie Hughes, he's completely robbed.
Yeah.
Completely. I watched that all. I would have gave Maxie about 8 rounds.
But I suppose Kambosos hold the title. You know, it's mad
got
the
that
kind of
push
finish.
But it's
as well.
not. It's because if you look at the picture, now Kambosos is probably going to fight Loma for the vacant IBF, and that makes sense because they've both been world champions.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Maxie. You know what I mean? But Max is fucking, he's a topper. Like that's
Yeah.
he is British boxing to me.
It's so brutal that it's so obvious in the sport. Like
It's
not,
money. It's money.
not-
It's money. It's money. It's money. And it's cruel, especially when the boys get to the top. If you're not getting the jewels at the end, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
100%. Especially if you get yourself in them positions to be able to fight for them and to get that stolen away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Your name's not remembered, not hitting that world title stage.
Oh no.
It's like how many guys can you think of that? Like I always think of the Joe Calzaghe fight. Name of Joe Calzaghe's opponents. You can't, you know. But these were all elite guys that were fighting unbeaten records again.
Yep.
I can name you Kessler,
Yeah, Chris Eubank,
Roy
Jones, Bernard Hopkins, Jeff Lacey.
That's 5 out of 49.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And like some of them are all-time greats as well. Like
Yeah.
Roy Jones, Chris Eubank.
Like the Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins fights, they both dropped him in round 1, and then he was just like, okay, schooling time for the next 10 rounds.
School is in session.
Yeah.
I asked Ratch, I don't think I asked this the last time, Fraser, who is the greatest, in your opinion, the greatest boxer of all time?
Of all time. It is tough and it's
Subjective.
It's
isn't it?
complete-
subjective on what
completely
you
a
think.
personal
It's
choice,
subjective in what you think is successful. Do you know what I mean? If you look at who's left the game with the greatest health, with the most money, you got to say Floyd.
Yeah.
100%. He played the game, he played it well. He got out, he's still making money.
Yeah, still playing it.
You know what I mean?
Still
He's still
playing
playing it. Like, but I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough question, especially for a boxer.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody who loves boxing. I don't know who I'd pick. I don't know who.
You got a top,
Floyd.
like 3?
Top 3, Terence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard, he fought with like one eye.
People
didn't he?
forget about that, man. He's unreal. Especially when like the Four Kings.
Seen it like 150 fights or something stupid
That was
like
Ray
that.
Robinson.
Yeah,
That's
That's
Sugar Ray
Ray
Robinson, is it?
Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard. He was the Olympic gold medalist, welterweight world champion, middleweight world champion, super welterweight world champion. Do you know what I mean? He went up through them all and still performed.
Madness.
Especially like you were mentioning, like who came out the healthiest, because boxing's such an
Yeah,
unfair.
like
I
look at
seen-
Muhammad Ali, Parkinson's at
I know.
late ages of his career.
Yeah.
I don't think Floyd will have half of that problem.
No.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Like what was Floyd's last fight? I think it was I think it was John Gotti's like nephew or something. Do you not see that?
He's sitting on the corner.
The ref stopped it, and then like the Gotti guy threw him out the way to go try and tackle. I was like, this is just crazy at this point. But fair play to him. Like I was saying, I think we mentioned this last episode. Like I'd kind of just gotten into boxing when Ricky Hatton went to fight Floyd, and like I was part of the delusion that Ricky Hatton's going to beat him, right? And then
There was no hope in hell.
And then because of like that happened, every Floyd Mayweather fight I watched to see him
Yeah.
get beat, and it just never happened. You know what I mean? And you know, it's genius in a way because he realized that being the villain benefited him way more than being the hero. Do you know what I mean? So
It's like all them YouTubers nowadays acting the big man, throwing tables and whatever, and doing all like stupid stuff.
aye.
They know because it's going to benefit. But like, oh, it's on the hype.
It's just like, oh, what did Conor McGregor start? Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
when
That's it?
did you see what he was doing at the
No.
Joshua
Let's
fight?
dial it back. What did Chael Sonnen start?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's your original.
Feeding a bus of carrot and all that kind of stuff. But, aye, like,
the
'cause,
stuff Chili's to come out with as well was class.
like the
There's-
McGregor stuff is so wild. There, like,
There's no better one-liners in all of combat sport than Chael Sonnen. Like, no better.
Yeah, he's good.
but like seeing, like he was at the Joshua fight recently, right?
Yeah.
And
Getting
again,
stout and Josh's like,
aye,
that's
the-
class.
literally-
If you've got an opportunity to get your brand out there, that is how you do it.
he does not miss. Like, he's got Ebony Bridges and like a bunch of these OnlyFans models coming off the bus. He's like, "We've got the honeys in the bus," and I'm like, "This is absolutely crazy." I was like, "This dude is not fighting in December. He's probably not going to fight again." But fair play because he's got more money than he knows what to do with.
Exactly.
As
as long as he's happy.
What about Josh Taylor? Obviously had a bit of a tough loss recently against Teofimo. Teofimo's a bit of a... He's either going to turn up or he doesn't turn up, right?
Enigma, yeah. He's-
That was Teo's fight from day one out because like Josh ain't a 140 anymore.
Yeah.
Aye.
It needs to be
Exactly.
146. But then you got to question whether 146 can be a good thing for him because he's been at such a low weight for
So
since
long,
legit. He's been
yeah.
at a weight since an amateur. all the way through his amateur career. That's the way he fought Andrew.
Might be the best thing ever happened to him. I kind of keep dialing it back to MMA, but look what's happened with Paul Craig. He's just moved up and
He moved down.
Sorry, he moved down. maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play to him though. That's so mad. Like
It's sometimes it's just that little weight change that people need to, like, the change in their career.
I wouldn't blame Josh for not fighting again.
Like the last couple of
probably
fights he's
is,
had, though, like was
just
it,
because
was
of
it
money,
the Katana fight?
Yeah, the Catterall.
The Catterall
Catterall.
fight. Sorry, just
Have you watched the documentary on that of him making weight?
No, I
It's
would
horrible
imagine it's
watching.
brutal. Yeah.
It's horrible. Like
it's,
he just looks like half a man.
I
Like
just
half
think
a
it was.
shell,
I think it was the wrong decision in that fight. Personally,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I think
you
yeah,
got to,
99.9% of people thought it was like
Yeah.
you seen.
It was.
Catterall's
It's a tough one to like say.
because you're
You don't want-
it's
you
a
want to
head
say
over
it, but,
heart,
like,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's
But then I still don't think that, like, if you look at like the 140 division now, Catterall ain't beating none of them.
No.
He's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's just like he's not beating Teal. Like without a doubt, he ain't beating Teal. Even Ramirez, who Josh Taylor beat, I still don't think he beats Ramirez.
yeah,
So we'll see.
it's interesting.
Yeah, those lighter weight divisions are absolutely stacked at
Yeah,
the
they
moment,
are.
right?
Mhm.
Like, and they're, to be honest, they're getting the fights made as well, which
Yeah.
is like obviously like the criticism of the heavyweights is like they just kind of seem to elude each other forever.
Because that's where the most money is, though.
Yeah.
That's why there's more to talk about. If you look at Spence versus Crawford, that fight took 6 years to make.
yeah,
And that came down to Spence and Crawford speaking between themselves, being like, "Look, we got to get this now because if we don't, we're not going to make any money."
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure they both made like 30 million for that fight. They're laughing in the bank.
yeah.
It's not always been that way though. Like how long for the Pacquiao Mayweather fight to happen,
Exactly.
and it was 10 years in the making
Yeah.
of that fight. It was ridiculous.
Then you probably question if it was a little bit earlier, probably a little bit less weight on them.
Mm-hmm.
Would Manny have done many better?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
that's what
maybe.
happens. Like,
Yeah. See,
Maybe-
that's what I'm saying. Timing is key in boxing.
It's all about
Timing
tactics
and
as well. Yeah, like Floyd was tactically amazing, not just in the ring, but like outside.
He's that
as
good
well.
that it
avoiding
just gets
fights for 10
boring,
years.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you, right? We'll have this question, and then we'll get to the question that we ask every guest at the end. Who's your favorite kind of mainstream promoter to watch? Because I'm a big fan of like listening to Eddie Hearn. I think he's
class.
absolutely
He's got the gift of the
hilarious.
gab. I've heard that
Uncut Eddie Hearn on TikTok
yeah.
is the best thing ever.
if I was to sign my own, you know, it would be Matchroom.
Yeah.
You'd want to sign with Matchroom.
Yeah.
There's no really other promoters like Bob Arum, PBC. No one sees his face. He doesn't even go to the shows.
I
He's
think-
running the ropes in the background, and everyone just knows the name. That's who promoted Floyd for most of his career.
I think he's in his 90s now
Yeah,
as well,
he's
and
old,
so
man.
he's been.
Bob Arum, he just needs to move on. Do you know what I mean? He's that old. Like he's done his dues. There's obviously Frank Warren as well. But apart from that, you know, it would be idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say idea because it's where the money's at in British boxing, especially, and he pays his boys well. So
He seems like a fucking laugh as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
you got to remember though, these promoters are bums on seats, and that's all they care.
Oh,
about.
yeah,
100%,
definitely.
100%. But like I watched both his debates with Simon Jordan, and I've got issues. with
Yeah. I mean, I do not like that Simon Jordan.
Oh.
I hate people with a narrative to just try
Yeah.
get to somebody. That's not healthy for him. It's not
He's
healthy
just
for
a
the
mouth
sport of
of money,
boxing.
him, like-
Literally,
Yeah.
he's literally doing that for views.
I mean, obviously he's got a bit of a health scare at the moment, so I wouldn't wish any ill
No,
will
no,
towards
God,
him.
no.
But his football takes are awful.
Yeah.
As is
His
his
fucking hairdo's awful as well.
as is his boxing ones. And it's just
Call him out.
next YouTube fight, Lee from the Norby's corner, Simon Jordan. Well, no, actually. Anyway, but yeah, like he came in there to like obviously try and out Eddie Hearn for like the whole Conor Benn stuff,
Yep.
right? Which is like low hanging fruit because everyone kind of knew what had happened.
Yep.
And he tried to spin it in a way that Eddie Hearn was going to let the fight happen, but he was saying, I can't do anything because it's under the British Boxing Board of Control's thing. And then one of the best bits is Simon Jordan used to own Crystal Palace.
Did, yeah.
Apparently didn't do very well with it financially,
Nope.
allegedly. And Eddie Hearn just like kind of busts out. It was like, you used to own a company and you went bankrupt. And like the room just went, so you could tell he had got him fuming. And then on the rematch,
But you know Eddie's got publicists going, yeah, so this is, remember this bit, 'cause
got
you're
an
gonna use
earpiece
it.
in, yeah, totally. And then on the second one, he just brutalised him by calling him a disc jockey. It was just like,
Fucking hell.
this is 2-0.
Holy shit.
10-7, you know what I mean?
Jesus.
But
Madness.
aye, well, we'll get to the final questions before we wrap up,
Yeah.
because it's nearly been an hour and a half now, is it?
We will. I'll let you go first.
So-
yours is a bit more dure than mine.
Well, it's kind of both ends of the spectrum, right? Because I think people both kind of have these things. We try to ask every guest that comes on now, from my point of view, what's one thing in your life that you overthink the most?
What everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Do you know what I mean?
it's a popular one because
That's as long as you're happy with what you're doing, nothing else in life will matter.
100%. And it's good
Because at the end of the day, when you're in the box, what is going to matter?
Yeah, 100%.
You know
Yeah. Seize the moment, I guess, would be the kind of the phrase
the
for it
moment.
and all that. But I think that's good to hear people say that, because the common answer we get is everything, like really general stuff. And I think it's good because I don't think we're not really taught to say those things, right? We're taught to kind of keep that internalized a lot of the time. And I think I heard someone say when you speak about these things, which don't necessarily have to be like mental health issues related or that, but when you speak about these things, it actually encourages people to join the conversation, which is like obviously gets people talking and, stops things maybe like depression from raising its head and things like that, and feel like a sense of community in it. So,
yeah, I kind of go the other end of the spectrum, and I think I might know the answer to this. What's the one thing that makes you the happiest, Fraser?
Well, obviously boxing,
Yeah.
but every aspect of it, I get a kick out of watching young kids sparring and that and fighting, and even when you go up to the top where I want to be, I get a kick out of that. So literally every bit of it.
do you see yourself like staying in the sport after it's all said and done, like the
I'd
career
love
front?
to,
I know it's a long way
I'd
down the
love
line,
to, yeah.
but yeah, like
Yeah,
to see yourself as a coach and stuff like that.
Yeah, a coach, any form. As long as I'm in boxing, I know I'm going to be happy because I would have been through all the stages to get where I'm going to be.
Yeah,
So wherever the boxing takes me, I know I'm going to be happy
excellent answer.
as long
Thank
as
you.
I'm boxing.
Awesome, mate. Enjoy being on again.
Yeah,
It's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit more bright, I guess you would say.
well, it looks the part. Eh?
It does.
I think
Remember when you get all this monetization off this episode?
Yeah, royalties, my friend. The start of, well,
I eat all the big wages.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling that Fraser's going to be somebody we probably have on a few times throughout his boxing career, and
we've just kind of got into the game of sponsoring fighters
we
recently,
have.
so I'm sure there'll be negotiations down the line.
There's got to be negotiations. Yeah,
But that's not for the camera. That is private conversations. But yeah, great having on you,
Cheers,
having you on again, mate.
Great,
Thank you.
Great, love it.
All the best, even when it goes well. 9th of September.
2 weeks.
We're going to try and get to a fight soon.
Yes.
I'd imagine if you have another one before the end of the year, we'll be in touch and we'll be there to get the full experience ourselves. And before we go, I keep forgetting to do this also, for all the kind of algorithm jazz and whatever, 5-star review on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all the platforms and all that kind of YouTube jazz. And we'll see you in episode 95.
95.
94, right, cool,
95.
remembered.